Hey there, and welcome to another episode of the Stellar Studio Sessions. If you need to stay ahead of the digital media curve with snack-size insights, analyses, and opportunities, then this podcast was created just for you. Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of the Stellar Studio Sessions. My name is Richie Mashiko, and today I'm going to be talking about a position that most companies don't have but need. So to answer the question, what is that position that most companies don't have but need? Well, the answer to that question is an editor-in-chief. And you may be asking, isn't an editor-in-chief traditionally a role that media companies need? And yes, that's true, but hear me out. So in the age of social media, I think one of the things that is most underrated is just how much content that needs to be put out on a daily basis for people and brands to stay relevant. So if you're only posting on like Instagram, for example, once or twice a week, you're most likely not going to grow a following. You're not going to get 100,000 followers or 1 million followers, not even 10,000 followers. And we're not even talking about Twitter and Facebook and YouTube and LinkedIn and all these other platforms where you need to be pushing out a ton of content. So when you start pushing that content out, it's one thing to have the quantity, but it's another thing to have the quality and to make sure that each piece of content that is put out on each platform is native to that respective platform. So when you start creating high quality content that performs at scale, in a way, your company is almost turning into a media company. And Gary Vaynerchuk talks about this, that companies need to think of themselves as their core business, right? If they're a product company, they're a product company, or if they're a service company, they're a service company. But they also have to be thinking of their company as a media company, and I think that makes total sense. Just because to be relevant on social media, that brands and companies need to be putting out a ton of content. So when you are putting out all that content, it gets challenging to manage and to make sure that you're not throwing out content just for the sake of throwing out content. You want to make sure that your content is strategic and will get engagement and is something that people want, and it fits into a larger marketing strategy that satisfies the business objectives. You just need to think of having someone at your company. If you can't afford it, maybe you don't hire an editor-in-chief right now, but start thinking of how can you put out more content on a regular basis, and how can you make that process repeatable. And one of the things that I've learned is that it takes time to come up with a strategy, but then also another thing is that you could have all these great ideas of what content to put out, but make sure that, especially for smaller companies and for companies with not as many resources, to have your content creation process as repeatable as possible. I know I've talked about this before, but one way you could do that is through using influencers or content creators to get content that's made pretty cheaply. Or if you have an in-house team, an in-house design team, or an in-house photographer who can constantly create content for you, that would be another valuable thing to have at your brand. So just to sum it up, as your companies start using social media more, keep in mind that the main challenge you're going to have, or one of the challenges that you're going to have, is creating content at scale, and while keep making sure that content that you put out at scale is quality. And you have to start thinking about positions in your company that understand how that content fits together. And you need to have people in your company who are able to actually create that content on a daily basis. And I think, like Gary Vee says, like the companies of the future that are going to succeed are the ones that are just creating high quality content, not expecting anything in return for that content, but maybe later down the line, as customers have more trust of that company, of that brand, they will come to that brand to actually convert and make a purchase. So with that, I think that's going to do it for this episode. And thank you guys so much for listening. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast wherever you get it. And we look forward to seeing you on the next episode of the Stellar Studio Sessions. Bye. Well, that just about does it for this episode of the Stellar Studio Sessions. Be sure to subscribe for more daily digital media insights, analyses, and opportunities. And don't forget to rate and review so we can bring you the best daily content possible. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you again tomorrow for another episode.